Taking you live to Brisbane, Queensland authorities are speaking at the moment. You can see there the Queensland Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk, the state recording one new case of COVID overnight. Let's have a listen in.
But I think Dr Young has a very good approach to this, working with the families, but quarantine is there to protect Queenslanders. And quarantine is being utilised in other states as well. It is not just unique to Queensland. So I'm happy for Dr Young to address that a little bit further.
There are some reasons that you can leave hotel quarantine, and one of them is to access healthcare. So anyone who is in hotel quarantine and they need healthcare can leave that hotel quarantine. It means the facility that they go to must treat them as if they had COVID-19. So they need to make sure that no one else in the facility is at risk of getting COVID infection from that person. But yes, there's processes in place now.
No excuses for not letting people go home in self-isolation.
People need to complete the 14 days in hotel quarantine before they can go home, especially as a lot of people go home, we know, to households that have got vulnerable people in them. So it's very important that we protect the other people in that household. You would have seen in Victoria that initially with their second wave, all of those cases were actually happening in the household. So we know households are a very high risk in terms of contracting infection. You would have seen in our 3 young women who went down to Melbourne. One of the first cases in Queensland was one of those women infecting a household member. So households are really high risk. That's why we need people to quarantine in hotels. Yeah. Sorry, what was the start of the question? Not that I'm aware of. I don't know what his employment status is.
What does the restrictions around Goondiwindi mean? Does it mean that it's easier for them to pass across the border to New South Wales or Queensland if you've got 2 properties or 2 farms?
Yeah, so we've got defined border zones in Queensland and in New South Wales, and anyone who lives in those defined border zones is freely able to cross for any purpose across the border and back, but only within the defined zones.
So you're just expanding some of the zoning?
We're just adding on an extra 2 postcodes with a very small number of people, but they were left out initially and it made sense after discussing.
Keep watching that on channel 604 if you like. You can see there Jeanette Young, the Chief Health Officer there, after the Queensland Premier talking, as mentioned. 1 new case overnight in Queensland.